Welcome to today's Explainer. I gotta tell you, I am absolutely thrilled to share this one with you today because it touches on something deeply, universally human. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating piece of source material. It's a recorded conversation between a young boy named Sean and an older gentleman named Gorges. Now, there is a staggering 57-year age gap between these two, but as you'll see, charting their conversation gives us this incredible window into the human condition, how our perspectives shift as the decades pass, and, honestly, this is the best part, how much stays exactly the same. Okay, let's dive into this. What actually happens when a young boy and an older man sit down to talk about life, totally unscripted? Well, we aren't using a standard agenda today. Instead, we're going to walk through what I like to call a thematic emotional funnel. We'll start with the surface-level realities of their daily lives, move through the shared magic of their imaginations, plunge into the pretty heavy realities of love and loss, and finally emerge with some absolutely pure advice for the journey ahead. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The best and worst parts. Daily frictions.
So, the source material kicks off with this brilliant yet super simple prompt: what is the worst thing about being young? And what is the worst thing about being old? It's a beautifully direct way to open a dialogue, right? It immediately asks each person to reflect on their own vulnerabilities and then share them with someone sitting at the literal opposite end of life's timeline.
Now, what's really interesting here is the sheer contrast in their answers. For young Sean, the absolute worst things in the world are lots of homework and feeling like he's stuck in the middle of good and bad. It's that classic childhood frustration of just not having any agency. But then consider Gordes' answers. His realities are highly physical. He talks about having a stiff body, the fact that you might get sick more often, and the simple everyday pain of trying to bend down to pick things up off the floor. We literally see the mental burdens of youth lined up right next to the physical burdens of aging.
And when Gordes mentions getting sick as a downside to aging, Sean counters with this incredibly charming thought. He says, "The only time I went to the hospital was my mom didn't like getting me born." I mean, wow. This lighthearted, completely innocent moment sharply highlights Sean's limited experience with illness. For him, a hospital is just the place where his story started, whereas for Gordes, it represents a looming vulnerability.
Section 2. The power of imagination. The magic of play.
Moving on, they mirror the questions back to each other, asking, do you wish you were older, and do you wish you were young? Sean's answer is, well, highly practical and forward-looking. He wishes he were older so he could buy stuff for his own. He sees adulthood as this era of ultimate freedom and purchasing power. Gordes, however, wishes he were young for one simple, profound reason. He says you have more time. Time to do things, time to play.
Gordes actually elaborates on what he would do with that time, looking back on his own childhood. He reveals this specific memory, noting that his favorite part of being young was that he could use his imagination more. He fondly remembers playing Cowboys and Indians. It's a real snapshot of a bygone era, right? A classic hallmark of his specific generation's childhood.
But check this out. This brilliantly illustrates the magic of their connection. Sean instantly lights up and delivers this joyful quote. "Yeah, that's what I play." I love this part. Despite the massive 57-year gap, and despite the completely different eras they were born into, they share the exact same imagination. It turns out the games of childhood totally transcend generations. The joy of pretending? It's just universally human.
Now, Sean remarks that it's a sad story that Gordes can't use his imagination like that anymore. But Gordes bridges the generational gap right back, playfully agreeing, well, I could be an older cowboy. How great is that? It's a wonderful reminder that while the stiff joints of age might stop us from running around the yard, our imagination doesn't have to completely vanish as we get older. We just kind of have to adapt the role.
Section 3. Love, loss, and empathy. Profound experiences.
So the conversation eventually turns to love. Gordes asks Sean if he thinks he'll fall in love and what it'll be like. Sean has a very innocent, forward-looking, almost storybook view of the whole thing. He imagines getting married, having babies, and get this, he even thinks the chore of changing diapers sounds like fun. To Sean, love is just a big future adventure waiting to happen.
When Gordes gently pushes back and asks, but what if the baby cries, Sean has this charmingly naive plan lined up. He says, I'll just sing like Ed Sheeran to him. It is incredibly endearing, but it also perfectly encapsulates the sheltered optimism of youth. Sean views the challenges of love and family through a lens of pop songs and easy fixes. And honestly, it sets up a really poignant contrast for what comes next.
Sean then turns it around and asks Gordez if he fell in love and got married. And I want to slow down our pacing right here to really honor the weight of this moment. Gordez explains that, well, he fell in love late in life. And then he shares this heavy reality. He says, no, unfortunately, my partner, she passed away. She died. She got sick. In an absolute instant, the conversation shifts from Ed Sheeran and theoretical babies to the stark, painful reality of adult grief and loss.
The beauty of this source material isn't just in the words being spoken, it's in the immediate, totally unvarnished human reaction. Sean doesn't offer empty platitudes. He doesn't awkwardly look away. He just says, I'm gonna cry. It is an immense display of pathos. This young boy instantly feels the weight of the older man's heartbreak. It is a pure, unfiltered bridge of empathy spanning nearly 6 decades. So the absolutely crucial point here is how Gordez actually comforts Sean in this moment of shared sadness. Gordez reassures him that while sadness is a part of life, the key is the past. He says, you have very good memories. A lot of the time, you live in your head with those memories. He imparts this profound lesson that remembering the good things is exactly how we cope with life's inevitable losses. Guys, it's literally a masterclass in resilience delivered directly to an 8-year-old child.
Section 4. Advice for the Journey. Universal Wisdom.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the conversation builds into a beautiful, mutual exchange. The focus turns toward guidance, and they actually ask each other for advice. Now, it's easy to assume the older man is the only one with wisdom to share here, right? But the young boy is also asked to weigh in on how to live a good life.
First, let's look at Gordez's distilled wisdom. After a lifetime of experiences, his advice is remarkably simple. Number 1, you don't have to be rich to be happy. 2, do the things you like to do that make you feel good. And 3, the ultimate takeaway. When you are happy yourself, everybody else around you is happy. It's a wonderful reminder that self-care and finding your own joy is actually a gift to the people around you.
But then we get Sean's rules for life, which are unexpectedly profound for someone so young. His advice: act normal. Don't be silly or bully people. And most importantly, when your friends get hurt, like his pal Alex at school, you hug them. It might not fix the problem, but you do it anyway. It's a beautiful foundational approach to human decency. Be authentic, do no harm, and comfort those you care about.
And Gordez hears this childhood advice and completely validates it. He tells Sean, just be as you are, isn't that true? He reinforces Sean's idea of acting normal by telling him, hey, don't let other people dictate who you should be. And he encourages him to keep those friends going. It is a truly beautiful moment of cross-generational agreement. The 8-year-old and the 65-year-olds completely agree. Authenticity and good friends are the true keys to a successful life.
Which leaves us with this final question to reflect on today. This conversation spanned 57 years of life experience, moving from everyday homework complaints all the way to deep grief, and finally landing on shared joy. Through it all, the message was crystal clear. So I ask you, wherever you are on your own timeline right now, are you making enough time to hug your friends and remember the good things? Thank you so much for exploring this explainer with me today. And as always, keep learning.